Welcome to episode 106 of Real Health Radio. You can find the links talked about as part of this episode at the show notes, which is www.7, so the word all spelled out, seven-health.com/106.
Welcome to Real Health Radio. Health advice that's more than just about how you look. And here's your host, Chris Sandel.
So, I am back. It's been over 3 months since the last episode, but Real Health Radio is now coming back after quite a hiatus, and a lot has happened during this time. So what I want to do with this episode, which is going to be probably a little shorter than usual, is just give you a bit of a life update on what's been happening over the last handful of months. And the plan is to do episodes like this periodically and let people know what's been going on in my life. When I did the 100th episode and shared stories and information about my life, people really enjoyed it and I got lots of great feedback and emails. So I want to be including more of this stuff. And I listen to so many podcasts where it's meant to be an interview or it's about a particular topic, but then at the start of the episode, there's like 10 or 15 minutes of the host talking about what's going on in their life, and people are entitled to do this, but often I just want to get in and hear the episode. So to avoid that, I'm going to do separate episodes like this one to give you life updates. If you don't care what's happening in my life and you just want to hear about the interviews I do or my content-based shows, then I totally get that. Just skip this episode and any future ones with this title. And before I jump into what's been happening, I want to explain what's going to be happening going forward with the podcast. So up until the point I took the long break, it had been a weekly show. And when I started the show over 2 years ago, I really never imagined how much time it would take up. I love doing Real Health Radio and doing the podcast, but it takes up just an inordinate amount of time each week. So I've decided for now I'm going to make it a fortnightly show. And this might be a temporary measure while I ease myself back into things, or it might end up being a permanent change. There really are so many other programs and pieces of content that I want to do that I just haven't been able to because my time goes towards creating a weekly show. And over the last couple of years, I've done a number of different surveys and got feedback on what people would like me to create or to offer. And I've really got some great responses around that stuff. But I've just never been able to then do any of it because of the time restraints. And I'm pretty terrible on social media. I use Facebook, but mostly just to linking out to articles I've enjoyed. I'm not great at interacting on there. I only occasionally use Instagram, although lately I've been much more active of it, but more kind of just personal stuff. My Twitter account is like a ghost town. And I know how helpful this stuff can be with interacting with other people and building relationships and just sharing more stuff about myself. So I want to have time to be able to do this. I've also been planning to redo my website for, the last 18 months, 2 years. And again, this just hasn't happened because I haven't had the time. And so having this time off where I haven't been doing any work or very limited work has given me time to reflect and allowed me to think about how do I want to be spending my time. And given that I'm now going to be having a lot less time than before, for now on the show is going to be fortnightly. And there may be occasional extra shows like this one, but mostly it will be fortnightly, at least for the next little while. So let's then get on with the update bit. What's been happening in my life for the last couple of months. The last show prior to this one was released on the 24th of August. So it's kind of coming up 2.5 months, something like that. So Ali, my fiance, was pregnant and she was due on the 12th of September. She actually finished up work and went on maternity leave around the end of July time. And we were aware that once the little one came along, things were going to be very different and our time would cease to be our own in the same way that it had been. So we wanted to make the most of the remaining time that we had together. So she finished up work at the end of July, and I scaled everything back from kind of the end of August time. So really from the end of August time, I was only seeing clients, and that was kind of it. And it was a really nice time together. We were getting plenty of rest. We were eating well. We were going on lots of nice walks. We were swimming at the gym. In the lead up, I actually found it hard to stop doing the podcast or to write articles or to do work. And I really felt like I was giving up. But I am really glad that I've had this time and I made that decision and we got that time together. And so I said earlier, Ali was due on the 12th of September. I think something like 3% of babies actually arrive on their due date. So we didn't pay the date too much attention. We just knew that sometime in September we would be having a baby come along. And so the 12th of September, it came and it went, and then the days just continued to roll on. And Ali had actually enjoyed a lot of her pregnancy. But in the third trimester, she started to get a lot of swelling, especially in her extremities. So she had carpal tunnel in both hands and arms and wrist. And when I would look at them, like they just didn't look like hers. I didn't recognize them. And luckily, at some point, I'd mentioned about maybe taking off her engagement ring and putting on a necklace. And luckily she did, because a couple of days later, everything then started to swell up even more. And if that hadn't happened, it would have had to be cut off. And the swelling, it caused lots of pain in her neck and shoulders and feet as well. And this was part of the reason why she finished up work so early and went on maternity leave so early. Like just commuting and working had become so much more of a struggle. So in those final weeks, she'd really gotten to the point of being over it, which is probably like every pregnant woman, I'd imagine. And every day we went past the 12th of September, this urge for it to be over just got a little stronger. So our days became a mixture of doing long, slow country walks in an attempt to bring on labor, and then the rest of the time resting on the sofa, chilling out, reading, watching TV. The TV front was actually a little difficult. In the last couple of months, Ali wanted to keep things positive and watch things that were uplifting or light or just not too full on. And this is tough for me, as I would say 95% of what I end up picking is some dark documentary or TV show about murder or false imprisonment or drug addiction or dystopian robot futures or just like gritty, miserable situations. So not really the light kind of stuff she was after. So there were plenty of shows that we started and then had to stop because it really wasn't the right kind of thing. So we started to rewatch a ton of Seinfeld, which you can really never go wrong with. Also watched The Newsroom, which is written by Aaron Sorkin, who did The West Wing, Studio 60 on Sunset Strip, the movies Social Network, Moneyball, A Few Good Men. He's an incredible writer, and so we watched Newsroom. And so if you're looking for anything to watch, I would highly recommend it. It's great. But then on the 24th of September, at around 8 o'clock at night, Ali finally went into labor. We were actually watching Billy Connolly, so nothing like some good laughter to bring on labor. And then a little over 24 hours later, on the 25th of September, our little boy Ramsey was born. And Ali was absolutely phenomenal, and I'm so amazed at her strength and her endurance. And I'd say the same for anyone who's given birth via whatever means. And I had a huge amount of respect for women already, but it's now at a whole new level after going through that experience. And I kind of ended up instantly wanting to call my mom and thank her and say I should have made them more of Mother's Day in the past. So I'm just so proud of Ali and everything she went through. And then there's Ramsey, and he's just the most amazing little human being. And I find it hard to speak about it without it sounding kind of corny or trite, but I do genuinely love being a dad. And in the whole scheme of things, it's only been a very short amount of time. I think we're up to 7 weeks at this stage, but I love being able to watch him and see the changes he's making on a daily and a weekly basis. And in some respects, I feel that we got very lucky because I think he's a fairly easy baby. Sometimes Ali would disagree with me on that, and he is, fairly chilled most of the time, although he definitely does have more difficult days or nights or afternoons or whatever. And one of my biggest fears was becoming a parent was sleep deprivation. I'm someone who needs a decent amount of sleep, and I know how important it is for my sanity, for being rational, just my general well-being. And so far on the sleep front, it's been pretty good. So my sleep is now more broken than it was before, and I'm waking up a couple of times a night to be changing nappies or to be comforting Ramsey or just playing with him because he'll be awake for an hour or an hour and a half or 2 hours in the night. But really outside of this, he's then sleeping and feeding in our bed and allowing us to sleep. So I'd probably say I'm averaging 6 to 8 hours a night, just more broken up than it was previously. But considering he's only 7 weeks old, and actually it's really been this kind of pattern from the beginning, I do feel incredibly lucky. There are obviously exceptions to this where there is a lot less sleep, and I'm definitely sleeping more than Ali is, but both of us are getting good sleep on a regular basis, and I do think that this has made just the absolute world of difference. And each morning I get up and we have breakfast together, and then I strap Ramsey into a sling and go for a nice morning walk with the dog. So enjoying the fresh air and the countryside with this little hot water bottle of a person strapped onto my chest. And it really does feel very special. And it will be even nicer when he can stay awake for those walks and take it all in. At the moment, he just goes straight to sleep, but it's still very, very lovely. And what maybe made the process easier, and you can take the word maybe out of that, definitely made the process a lot easier, was having Ali's mum stay with us after Ramsey arrived. So she came down 3 days after he was born and stayed with us for 3.5 weeks, nearly 4 weeks. And this was an absolute godsend, as it just meant we had another set of hands to help out. And that's either to hold Ramsey so we could go and have a bath or a shower, or she was able to put on washing, or to clean up after I'd made a meal, or to do some gardening, or just to provide like love and emotional support for Ali and me. So I will be eternally grateful that she was with us during this time, and it definitely took some adjusting once she left. It was just Ali and I looking after this little human. We we definitely made it more difficult for ourselves by moving house 10 or 11 days after Ramsey was born. So 4.5 years ago, we first moved out of London to the countryside, and we were renting this lovely little cottage that was perfect for just the two of us plus a dog. But when we found out Ali was pregnant, we decided we needed to find something that was bigger. And this definitely became more apparent when we started being given more and more baby stuff from friends, or we started buying baby stuff ourselves. There was just nowhere to put it in the old cottage. And so all the rooms would slowly get smaller and smaller as the baby stuff was just stacked against the walls or really any available flat surface. So with moving house, we decided that we wanted to buy something, and it had been something we'd been thinking about for a while. And just prior to Ali going on maternity leave and everything changing, we thought it would be a perfect time to go through that process. And we started looking around the February time, and we actually found a place around like mid-May and put in an offer. I think it was on the 20th of May that was then agreed. So the fact that we then didn't move in until the 10th of October is a real testament to the absolute absurdity of the UK housing system. We'd originally wanted to be in well before Ramsey was born, but obviously this didn't happen. And so again, having Ali's mum around was a huge help with the move. It allowed me to just get on with sorting out the house and unboxing things in a way that just wouldn't have happened and wouldn't have been possible if she wasn't around. And I think we'd unpacked all the boxes within 6 or 7 days, and we are now at the stage where we're just in a place where the house is looking great, and we're just finishing off bits and pieces and waiting for things to be delivered so it can be finished off. So a new sofa to be delivered, we're getting art for the walls, that kind of thing. I've actually put some pictures up on Instagram if anyone's interested in checking it out. I've also been putting up pictures of Ramsey as well if people are interested. And I do want to, as I said earlier on, I want to get back into, or want to get into for the first time, using more of social media. So my Instagram, my handle is chris.sandel, which is Sandel. And you can check that stuff out there. The new place that we moved into, it's not that far from where we were. It's about 20 minutes away from where we were living before. It's still in the countryside, and despite moving only 20 minutes away, we've now changed counties. So we were previously in Kent. We are now in Surrey. we're actually pretty close to the Ashdown Forest. So the author A.A. Milne, who wrote Winnie the Pooh, he lived on the edge of the Ashdown Forest, and the forest inspired the backdrop of a lot of his stories. So this is pretty close by to us, and so sometimes for my walks with Rox, my dog, we'll go walking around the forest. And in terms of the actual place we moved to, I mean, we really love it. It's beautiful, it's bright, it doesn't need any work, which is great because neither of us are particularly handy. It's on half an acre of land, which is this lovely long garden that just keeps going back and back. And one of the previous owners worked for the National Trust Gardens, or one of the National Trust Gardens. So obviously a very keen gardener, and the gardens around the house are really beautiful. And right at the back of the garden, there's a mini orchard with, 8 or 10 trees that have apples and pears and plums and other fruits. And then the plan for the springtime for next year is to build an office in the garden. For so much of my work, I need to be able to just immerse myself without distractions. So whether that's writing a blog post or putting together a podcast or doing research or speaking to clients, I just really need it to be distraction free. So in the meantime, I'm working out of the second bedroom in the house, which will eventually become Ramsey's room. But I'm excited to be able to have an office where I can just go and get on with things, and kind of how it used to be when I'd work from home, from the study, and Ali would be at work and there would be no one else around except for the dog. And being honest, it has been a bit of a struggle to get back into work because I don't just leave and then go to an office, and I don't have some set time that I need to start work. Like, yes, on client days, I have to have clients at set times, but outside of that, there isn't any time pressures. And it's felt difficult to just leave Ali to deal with Ramsey, because while I feel he's an easy baby, he still cries and he can still be challenging. And when I'm hearing that happening downstairs, it's hard for me just to ignore it and keep working. And I maybe can for a little while, but as it goes on, I start to feel quite guilty. So it's a learning process with what will be the new normal and how I can get work done without feeling like I'm abandoning Ali, and how I can pull myself away from wanting to hang out with Ramsey and to focus on work. And this will undoubtedly get easier, and a lot over the last couple of weeks, what's been taking up my time has been sorting out the house. So going and getting things for the house or doing stuff around the house. But that is now mostly done. And so things are starting to feel more settled. And I'm hoping to now be increasing the amount of work that I'm doing. So if you've missed the podcast or the articles or my emails, these things will be returning, albeit less frequently than before. And thank you for your patience over this time. I really do feel so lucky that I'm in a position that I'm able to take this time off and to be able to do what I do. So that really brings us up to speed about what's been happening over the last couple of months in my life. It's been a period of really monumental changes, and I'm still in the process of just finding my feet. But I'm really enjoying it and trying to enjoy the challenges as they come up. So that is it for this week's show and my first of these life update episodes. As I said, I will do these intermittently whenever I have something to talk about. I will be back with another episode of the show shortly. It's another guest interview. But until then, take care of yourself and have a good couple of weeks.
Thanks